All right, guys. Seahawks pick at 216 is coming up here. Been some interesting movement in the last couple of picks, but for the most part, I think things have largely stayed the same as they were when we last picked. So I'm kind of looking at similar things. I'm looking at Tyreek Sapp. I'm looking at Xavier Harris. I'm looking at maybe somebody like Caden Curry, Dante Corleone. Those guys are still on the board. And I think there's some real value here. Harold Perkins Jr. would also be fun. So I'm just waiting for this Colts pick to get announced. And then we go Atlanta and then Seattle. And then we're just into round 7. In round 7, we pick pretty late. So it's going to be a little while. So a lot of the guys who are even a little tiny bit appealing are probably going to be gone. But that's what we got. So this video is sponsored by Prize Picks. And just waiting to see when the Colts pick is going to scroll by here at 214. Then we're waiting a little bit longer. But, at this point, obviously, there's not a ton that can happen one way or the other that is going to drastically affect this draft. We are now at the very back end of it. So overall, I think the Seahawks did a good job over the last couple of days. I can't say much about Henderson because I didn't scout him. Oh, Caden Curry. Ooh, going to hurt some feelings. Caden Curry goes to the Colts at 214. So that is a good one in my mind. So he's off the board. That's somebody that the Seahawks and I think Seahawks fans may have wanted. I think his arm length makes it a little bit of a tough sell, but I still thought he was good. He roasted the Huskies when we played them Ohio State last year. So that would have been an interesting pick, but not to be. But my fundamentals have not changed here. I'm looking at Tyreek Sapp. I'm looking at Xavier Harris. Well, we're guaranteed to have a shot at least one of those two. But there's also a very good chance they draft somebody I've never heard of before because that's what these picks are kind of about. You don't draft players for value here. You draft the players that you've kind of circled. Atlanta's pick is in, by the way. And it looks like the Seahawks have traded. The Seahawks have traded out to Green Bay. The Green Bay Packers are now picking at 216. So once again, the Seattle Seahawks have traded out. Let me, yeah, I will go ahead and turn the chat back on because there's nothing to spoil. I don't even see where our pick is from a trade back. So let's try to figure out what we actually traded for here. Give me one moment. We are doing it live. Yeah, we traded out at 216. But I'm not seeing any indications of what we got out of it yet. But it looks to me like we may have gotten a pick next year, which I'm all for that because next year's draft should be better. And we don't necessarily need this pick right now. Although, again, the issue with that is you give yourself too many picks in one draft. You resign yourself to a lot of your guys that you draft not making the team because you don't have that much room on the roster. And there are some intriguing players here that I would not have minded picking up. So I'm not going to say that I'm a huge supporter of it, but I do understand it. I'm still waiting to see what the actual compensation is. And my stream is starting to have some buffering issues, it looks like. So that's not cool. Harold Perkins goes to Atlanta. Ooh. So we would have gotten sniped on him even if we sat at that pick and we wanted him, which I don't know if we did, but Harold Perkins is Gonzo Bonzo. Okay. Good pick by Atlanta, by the way. And then Green Bay takes our pick here. So let's see what they do. And we got 236 and 255. Oh, yep. 236 and 255. And that is basically you trade one bad sixth rounder for two kind of not so good seventh rounders. So what this says to me is that we have a bunch of guys that we like for UDFA, but we don't think we're actually going to be able to get them because they're not going to choose to come here. So we want to draft them to make sure they have to at least come here. So, very good chance that these last 3 picks that we now have are going to be used on guys that we know very little and maybe even nothing about. But that is a logical way to look at this draft. And the Packers just took a kicker, by the way, so I don't think anybody's going to be too upset about that. But yeah, that's the trade. Seahawks give up 216, and they move to 236 and 255. So they probably have a bunch of UDFA level targets they want, and they want to get as many as possible. They are now picking, I believe, 3 times in the 7th round. All right. See you guys later. Go Hawks. Not going to get into trade value here because the picks are so low value. It like, who cares? But yep, that's the way it goes. All right. Go Hawks.